Hello my friends, today I will show you 5 broken weapons. We're gonna go from the smaller ones and get to the big ones. I will tell you how I destroy them and also how you can avoid it. So let's get started. First category and most obvious one are the folding knives. Guys, I never had so many requests to throw butterfly knife. Like everybody think it must be great for the throwing because it's like a good for the flipping, but even if you're gonna have like a super expensive one, I really believe that it's going to break because if you can see, there are so many little screws and those can just get loose after some time and they will just fall off, or like in this case one of these legs just broke, you see. So this is big problem, and it really doesn't matter if you're gonna have like for the few bucks, because for example this folding knife, I think it costs like $200 or something like this, even more. It was from the titanium, and as you can see, this handle is now like a totally loose, broken. Maybe it would be possible to fix it, like to get some new screws and put it, but otherwise, you know, actually this one I was doing some crazy tests with it and it survived many things. So this one is definitely still possible to fix it, and I think you can still stick it. But for example this one, you know, it's now like you can't even like flip it, and for the throwing it sucks really bad. So like I really, wow, stick it first try. I really don't recommend, guys, to use these folding knives for the throwing. Only maybe like if you wanted to try, you need some kind of very soft target like an archery or some type of foam, and also nothing like a hard ground, otherwise they will break. Okay, and if you have some expensive folding knives, it really makes no sense because after some time like you will miss your target and you're gonna break them. All right, so first category, folding knives, definitely don't do it. Second category are throwing knives. So again, it really doesn't matter if you have super cheap ones or the mega expensive throwing knives, because sometimes there can be one that was poorly made, like a bad heat treatment or tempering, and the blade can snap. So you have to keep in mind that even something like this can happen with your blade. But the cheaper one that you can get on the market, you have way higher chance that compared to the more expensive one. But even the freak accident can happen. For example, this one broke one of my friends, but this is actually like the Flying Dragon from the first batch. As you can see, still with a smooth edge, and my friend just threw it super hard and all of a sudden it snapped. But we made like 2,000 of these already, and this is like the first one that I have seen snap. But also something like this I have seen, and this is only the second time. But if you have like a good level high maker, like a knife maker, and something like this happen, he should be able to replace it right away, you know. So if ever, guys, will happen something like this to your sharp blade throwing knife, you can send me the email and I will instantly replace it. All right, but otherwise with the professional throwing knives this should not happen because they have to be properly heat treated and tempered. But keep in mind that even with the super throwing knives this can sometimes happen. On the third category we have survival knives. These are super important because you want to take them on some adventure where like you will definitely need some kind of very durable knife that will last forever, right? This one I actually have from the Wolflund. They made this like a bushcraft survival knife, so you have like a paracord, bottle beer opener. I think they didn't put this into the production. Maybe they will in the future, I really don't know. But actually with this one I wasn't even throwing, I was doing like a basic like a praying, and it was just snap instantly, you know. So if I would be using this for the throwing, this would happen right away. Basically, in general, if you're gonna have very thin tip, long, very thin, sharp, and you're gonna be using for throwing, you're gonna snap it in the target, you know. Also, before I forgot to mention, for the throwing knives, some people don't know, but if you are using tough target, you also have higher chance that there's gonna be some bending, breaking, stuff like that. And also, don't throw into the one target. This is big mistake. Try to make 3 separate targets and throw one by one. With this way, you have higher chance that this will not happen. And also put some like a very soft floor. You know, it can be also like from the wood. So you have many options how you can do it, but definitely biggest problem if you are throwing like an under it's concrete, you know. So picking also the right survival knife, it's gonna be really important. And I personally prefer to have like a very something sturdy like this Glock 78. As you can see, this one it's also a little bit bent, but I believe like a little bit bent it's better than completely broken, you know. This one it still can be used. This one is actually also sharp. This one is, but a little bit less, but still can do the job, like with the cutting, stuff like that. So you can still use this, I think, no problem for the throwing. Yeah, and of course Glock, it's very lightweight, can be used for the EDC purposes, and for the throwing it's absolutely great, and for the very cheap price. So I always recommend to have something like this, super durable. I don't have to care like what will happen with this knife, very very cheap. But if you're gonna have like some super expensive survival knife, $500 or more, like I don't think you wanna necessarily throw it. But in the worst case scenario, guys, keep in mind, people ask me like, oh, can you throw this, can you throw this? Like you can actually throw any type of knife, it really doesn't matter. But most of these knives you can throw only once, because they will break. All right, so let me know in the comment section below which knife you are using for the survival. And now we go on the bigger weapons, and on the fourth category I would put the machetes, and in this size basically. And for this purpose I took the viral Kukri that I am sure that you have already seen on my channel. Some like at least 10 million people have seen this blade. But as you remember, actually on another my viral video, this Kukri broke, and after I was using it for like 6 techniques. But before that, actually it survived everything. So I can't tell like oh, this was a bad product, because I was actually really surprised. This was from the Honshu, basically United Cutlery. I think this is stainless steel, and as you can see it broke like here totally on the handle. But of course these was definitely not made for the throwing, and just to say that survived so long, like so many throws, it just show you like it's not that bad product. The tip, it's also like a little bit bent, but nothing like super bad. It's still completely sharp, and of course because it's like a stainless, it's still in the perfect condition. This can be easily fixed if you put like something on the handle. Even in the worst case, maybe put something like here, some screws, and you have like a quick survival knife. And like I said, you can still pretty easily throw it. Whoa. Maybe not so easily, but it's really shame if you will have like such a nice machete and you will throw it and to destroy it, you know. So keep this in mind. But it again can be done in the worst case scenario, and if you're gonna be using it for some, again, survival purposes, you want to have best quality as possible. But if you're gonna avoid doing like a super hard stuff, it should also survive. But just keep in mind, this can happen if you're gonna be throwing it. All right, and on the last category we have the swords and big weapon. So even for this, of course, this can easily happen if you're gonna be doing the stuff that you should not do it with the sword. And for example, with this one, surprise, surprise, I was using it for throwing, right? So as you can see, the tip snapped, but again, it survived many throws, so I was surprised with the quality. The handle, is it loose or isn't? Little bit. The guard, little bit loose. Again, United, no, high carbon steel. Oh yeah, from the United Cutlery, and also Honshu war sword. So this can be still used for the chopping, but now since it's like a loose, it's again more dangerous. So definitely another that's definitely like a not worth it to use for the throwing. And I would be also very careful to use like a for some kind of praying or something like this, maybe for the hard task. If you're gonna be using this one for the smaller branches, cutting the bottle, stuff like that, this can be used really no problem. But for the throwing, it can be done. But you see, it's like a very flimsy, it's not so perfect. And now of course with the tip, it's not sticking so much anymore, so I will give it one more try. You see, that was really good throw and it didn't stick. So conclusion, guys, again, surprise, in 95% of these that you were able to see today, you can you can almost avoid it. All right, so use for the throwing only the stuff mostly that was made for throwing, right? In the worst case scenario, of course, you can throw everything. If it's going to stick or not, you can use it like only for the destruction. For the survival, I highly recommend to have only proper good stuff. Don't go outside like with some cheap products. And for the throwing knives, once again, if you want to support the channel, you can go on the shop Sharp Blades and get some of my throwing knives, all right? But for today, that's it. So thank you everybody for watching. Share, like, comment, subscribe, and see you next time.